The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studio in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And I have Charles Stansburge with us this hour. He is a MUFON State Director, Section 12. He's a member of the STAR team and CAG member, and he's also a field investigator. Joining us from his home is Charles. And Charles, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you with us.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Charles, over the past, you and I have talked about, UFOs, extraterrestrials, your position, your experiences. I'd like to talk tonight about mutilation, animal mutilations. I know that you did a very big case involving sheep, right?
Yes.
And I was wondering
sheep.
And I was wondering if you could tell us about that case and take us through the steps that you used to investigate the case, and what conclusions you came to.
Okay. The first thing of all, I didn't even know it was even going on. This was back in 2013,
mm-hmm.
and it was going on from about April that year up until about October, November. And in October, somebody had called me from somewhere here in town and said, "You need to look in the newspaper." I said, "Why?"
Mm-hmm.
So he told me exactly where. So I found a little tiny article, and the sheriff in Port Lavaca, down there in Texas here, they were beside themselves. They couldn't figure out what was mutilating these sheep and
mm-hmm.
making them disappear as well. So I decided to try to call the sheriff's office.
Right.
I got a hold of the sheriff, and he explained who I was. And he was, "Oh, wow, is you guys going to be coming down here? You going to come out here and investigate this?" But he was really excited. And I said, "Well, we'll see what we can do there, Sheriff." I got a hold of the state director and one other person. And the next day, I got a phone call. Says, and let's saddle up. And I said, okay. So I was the first one that got there. And I contacted the sheriff's office right away. Got down there. They also escorted me to the ranch where
mm-hmm.
this all was taken up. But
all right, Charles, we've got gremlins. Sorry about that, friend.
No problem. But I talked to him, and I says, "Can I get everything
mm-hmm.
that the reports coming from him and the reports that the officers, the deputies went, and so on and so forth?" "Yes, you can." I says, "What about photos?" He says, "Yes, we have about 45 photos." I said, "May I have some? May I have them?" He goes, "Sure." They made a copy of everything for me. Our state director and this other person came that late that night, but I was there early. I got the hotel set up for us, and then the sheriff's office went in and took me out there, and I met the man and his wife, And he had one of them four-legged or little buggy thing, and had pretty good wide tracks on it. And he says, "You want to go around?" I said, "Yeah." So we started going around, and he showed me exactly where everything was. The carcasses are still there. Were still there at the time. So I had to put, what I do is we have flags. And these flags are red flags. And I put them in different places where all these mutilations were. And out of the whole thing, we went around that whole area, his ranch, and in the very back part of his ranch is a river, and it's it's barbed wire fence across the property, and it's a good 4.5 foot drop to the river, straight down, and then both sides of his place is also barbed wired up to a certain point. And I checked the whole thing twice to see if there was any footprints anywhere, any paw prints anywhere, any dragging somewhere of any kind of meat that might still be somewhere else, that, if there was any predators going on. And then once I started looking through the photos, I talked to those people for a little bit. And then that evening, our state director and the other person came, and I gave her a copy of the photos and a copy of the reports. And she says, "Have you got everything done over there?" And I said, "Oh, yes, everything's done." And this gentleman, though, he, for some reason, he did not cover up the ones that were the latest one that was there, that was mutilated. And I told him, I said, "Get it covered up before any other animals get in here." So they said, okay. And the next day, we all went in there together. We did exactly what I was doing, checking the perimeter and so on and so forth. And there were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was 8 bodies.
Wow.
In different parts, and they were close to one area. They were really close to one area, and a lot of people were saying that they were predators that was doing this.
Yeah.
But when we investigated this thing, the way it was done, it was surgically done. Okay, the belly of the sheep was cut in a half moon, and they pulled it back, took out the belly, and took only the reproduction organs. That's all that was taken on the females. And the males, they basically didn't do anything there but just take their genitals. Now, if you had talked to anybody about mutilated cattle, what they do is they have a slit up around their throat, and it's about 2 inches, maybe, and that's all there is to it. Now, that's how, I guess that's how they got out the blood and everything. I don't know, but every one of these sheep had the exact same thing, identical.
Wow. And
I thought, wow, and it was really quite compelling. We went around talking to other people, some of the neighbors of this guy, and they said, well, there are predators running around here, coyotes and stuff. And I said, yeah, but predators don't know how to. They don't know how to do surgery. They have no clue of it. All they know is they have their teeth, and that's their surgery.
That's true.
But to begin with, when it all started, he had 52 sheep. He sold 19 of them, and then the rest of them he had in his pasture back there. And all of a sudden, within a couple of weeks, they were all gone. They were either mutilated or just flat disappeared. And there's no way out of that place. There's no the fence all around is doubled. And when you go into the property, the house sits back probably about 50 yards, and then you have a big barn, and there's a fence right behind the barn, and they have a place to go into it, and then about 20 feet later you have another opening, and that big pasture out there. He had goats as well, and the goats were not touched, and there were 3 yearling goats, white ones, but they were not touched. Just the Barbados sheep, and
when you were doing the investigation, were there any veterinarians called? Were there any other experts who were called to work with you on the investigation?
No, we tried to get a hold of one that was right there in town.
Yeah.
He didn't want anything to do with it, and I thought, that's wild. Why not?
Exactly.
We need to find out what's going on here, and we didn't have any cooperation whatsoever with any veterinarians there. We had a lot of the sheriff's deputies help us out, and the sheriff himself, and a couple other people. But as far as veterinarians and trying to get the situation going, no. There was no way in heck. We couldn't even get him to even talk to us, hardly.
So what did the neighbors say? What did were there any strange anomalies that were reported the time just before the mutilation started? Was the mutilation done during the day, at night?
It was at nighttime, during the night. Yeah. See, the one we had, the latest one, was done that night. Okay, but one of the photos we had, I looked at. There was a very big rain, a huge thunderstorm that night, and there was a lot of water and stuff. And it was a female,
right?
And then you can see the pasture in the back, and something seemed a little different for some reason. And I got a hold of a friend of mine. I said, I want you to look at this photo. Excuse me. He said, okay. So he looked at it and he goes, oh, really? And I says, really what? He says, Chuck, take a look for yourself. You concentrate and see what you see. So I said, okay. And where the ruts were for this little vehicle this gentleman's got, was a lot full of water and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, the ruts stopped next to some trees up in front of it. And there's a big, huge area around there. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 30 yards around, 30 yards in circumference. And it was all flattened down, and it was it was smashed down counterclockwise, like something had landed there.
Would that be similar to what people see in a crop circle?
Yeah, similar. But this wasn't a crop circle. It was mashed down with something heavy.
Were there any reports of unidentified flying objects that you at MUFON had during the time of the approximate time of the mutilation of these animals?
No. I checked that out from April that year all the way to where we got done with all that stuff, and there was no reports whatsoever made of any kind of objects or flying saucers.
Wow.
But what really surprised me was some of the people that would you're walking around with my MUFON stuff on, and I would be asking questions. Just ain't nothing wrong with that. Nah, there's nothing like that, But the next day, we came in early in the morning and went around it again and checked everything. And we were thinking about, then we went inside the house and we started talking about maybe setting up cameras for them and see what we can find. And he didn't want that.
Why not?
Okay.
Was that a little suspicious to you that
did you
find that a little suspicious?
He changed his mind.
Oh, he did he? Okay.
Yes, he changed his mind. And we were going to do it, myself and another UFO or MUFON member. We're going to stay down. We were going to come back down there and stay for a couple of nights and sleep outside and just kind of watch and have a couple of cameras that kind of wide out to where it shows everything and see what happens. And we never got the clearance to do it. But when we got inside there, all of a sudden this lady shows up with another person with a camera, and it was a newspaper outlet. And they wanted to ask us questions about what was going on, and they flat asked us, do you think that these were mutilated by UFOs, by aliens? Mm-hmm. And I said, ma'am, the only thing we can think of right now is we don't know. That's why we have an investigation. It's an ongoing investigation. Right. It could be anything that might have done this to these sheep. And so after they left, after about an hour, talking to them and us, and then left. And the next morning, we were sitting there having a little cup of coffee and stuff, and right after breakfast, and we went to the ranch, and we had some coffee with them, and the man got his newspaper, and he says, "You got to look at this." And I said, "Look at what?" And we all started laughing, because it said, "Sheep mutilated by UFOs," and headlines.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't believe it. I says, "No, I never said that. Nobody said that."
But you told the truth. It wasn't sensationalistic enough.
Yeah, evidently.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got all that done. Mm-hmm. And the other gentleman that was there, besides the state director and myself, they went ahead and bagged this one sheep up, the last one we had, and he was going to take it to another veterinarian for somewhere else. And nobody wanted to do anything about it. Nobody wanted to even test it. Nothing. And that blows my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know why they want to do that, but they don't want to do that. But then I made my report up and everything, and the state director, she made a second report up, and it was condoned as predators. And I'm going, oh, you've got to be kidding me! Predators can't do that.
Yeah. Like, wouldn't the animal have tear marks and teeth marks and be totally mutilated instead of surgically?
Oh yeah. They would tear them all up, because they want to eat, and even if they have younglings, they'll drag it off to somewhere.
That's right.
But when I was saying about one photo, mm-hmm. The grass all that grass was down flat, counterclockwise. And I got to checking that photo. I went ahead and analyzed it, and guess what was there? Take a guess.
Take a guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
There were two aliens. One was nailed down by a tree, and the other one was behind the other tree next to it. watching the sheriff's deputies do their job. And
unbelievable.
There was a portal over here off to the right on the film, and it was like a big, huge oval, and it was distorted just in that one spot. And you can see the trees behind it, but they were distorted somewhat. And I asked a very good friend of mine.
All right, we're going to have a little bit of a cliffhanger here because I've got to take my news break. Charles, stand by, my good friend. Exonation, Charles Stansburge is our special guest, and Chuck and I will be back on the other side of this break with Amanda's news from the X-Zone right here on the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We'll be back after the news. Don't go away.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
This is News from the X-Zone. I'm Amanda Curran. A revolutionary new software developed at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory has now enabled the Mars Curiosity rover to select rock targets for its laser spectrometer autonomously for the first time ever. While most targets are still selected by scientists here on Earth, the chemistry and camera instrument, known as ChemCam, is now frequently choosing multiple targets per week for analysis. Scientists explain that to select a target autonomously, the software's analysis of images uses adjustable criteria specified by scientists, such as identifying rocks based on their size or brightness. The criteria can be changed depending on the rover's surroundings and the scientific goals of the measurements. A new theory has emerged which suggests that a rare type of meteorite found here on Earth may have caused the shapes on the surface of Mercury. Asma Bojabar, a postdoctoral fellow at NASA's Johnson Space Center and lead author on the new research, points out that since Mercury's prominent core is a product of the conditions under which it formed, and due to a very low abundance of oxygen, which caused nearly all of the iron that was present to sink into the core. Bojabar and his team took a powdered chemical mix, similar in composition to these types of meteorites they believe caused the formation of Mercury, and subjected it to high pressures and temperatures. Bojabar concludes, these findings indicate that the older terrains are formed by the material melting at high pressures up to the core mantle boundary, while the younger terrains are formed closer to the surface, reinforcing his theory. Neuroscientists from the Washington University School of Medicine have now identified 97 new regions of the brain by creating the most detailed map of the human brain ever. By using the brain scans of 12,000 young adults with a custom-built MRI machine, both at rest and while performing simple mental tasks, to measure the brain's activity and to see how different regions in the brains were responding. They then used a machine learning algorithm to identify discrete regions of the brain by finding common cortical coordinates during all the different scans. Researchers hope that this will offer new insights into disorders like autism, schizophrenia, and dementia. I'm Amanda Curran, News from the X Zone.
If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Charles Stansburge is our special guest of this hour. We're talking about animal mutilation. I'd just like to let you know that coming up in the next hour, it's going to be one of our best of series. It's from the X Zone Vault, and it's with a gentleman I had the pleasure of talking to, Ryan Moreau. He is a national security analyst with the Clarion Project, and this was last year. And when you listen to this interview, and how everything that this security analyst was saying relates to what's going on in the world today, you'll be astounded. That's in the next hour here in the X Zone. Charles, before we went to the commercial break with the news, you kind of dropped a bomb on us by saying that you had a photo. You further analyzed the photo. There were two aliens and a porthole in the photo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was. I had to look at it several times, and I just couldn't believe it. And I showed it to a few people, and matter of fact, I took the photo, I put it in my computer, and we had a meeting with our membership, and I put it up on the TV, right? And when I opened it up, I said, guys, I want you to look. You tell me what you see, as I'm not going to say anything. You tell me if you see anything there. And right away, they were seeing things. They saw the ETs, two of them. They saw the door, the portal thing, and that the grass was all counterclockwise. Just right away, they started saying, "Oh man, is this real?" I says, yeah, it's a very, very, very real photo. And they just couldn't believe it. But yeah, it happened. And I told a few people that, matter of fact, in MUFON, just about two people in MUFON, I wanted them to take a good look at that photo. Mm-hmm. And I never really got a response back, with the exception of, you did a great, you had a great case there, Chuck. You did a great job on it. Congratulations. That's all I got.
But whatever happened to the photo?
Oh, I still got it. I've got all of them.
Like, here you've got... There's that little gremlin again. Here you've got proof, Chuck, of a connection between extraterrestrials and cattle and animal mutilation. You've also got a porthole in this picture, and why hasn't it gone viral? And why can't this be used to further the case of the existence of the extraterrestrial connection?
Well, if I try to say, if I put it up in Facebook or something like that, I'm liable to be called down and saying, "What are you doing?" Because it's one of our cases, and we usually don't do things with photos and stuff like that, with other than just being with our own group as far as
isn't that defeating
members.
But isn't that defeating the whole purpose?
Yes, I think it is. But I have shown it to a lot of people. I even called the sheriff down there in Port Lavaca. I told him, I says, "Sir," I says, "there is something there that, let's put it this way, was watching you or watching your deputies do their job." And I says, "As far as I'm concerned, this is not a, how would you put it, not a predator of sorts, because of the incision that was done to the females and the male, and also having the slit in the neck with the drainage of blood." And I says, that to me is a classic mutilation of that ETs do. And one person asked me, how come the reproductive organs? I said, they may take the reproductive organs and take them to wherever they go up there, and they may go ahead and clone them. That way they have food for a while. Who knows? I says, I don't know the reality of it, because I haven't been with them to do it. The only reality I have is where I have been and the experiences I've had. But that could be. It's. I really don't know what they do with all that kind of stuff, as far as what the reproductive is and the genitals from the males. I don't know.
But the fact that you've got this photo, Chuck, and that basically MUFON is saying, well, you can't share it. It has to stay within MUFON. Isn't MUFON doing the exact same thing that MUFON accuses the government of doing, suppressing information?
In a sense, yeah. Some of it is being depressed, but myself, I tell everybody about it. I show the video. The photo to people, and also some of my cases that I work, and well, let's put it this way: some of the cases that I worked were changed from my report to a different report, and I just kind of got upset about that. Said, no, this is my case. This is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I went ahead and made my reports into PDF, where they can't change it, where nobody can change it. And
I got bad news for you, Chuck.
Well, maybe they can, but somehow or another. But not that easy, though. But I put it in with PDF, and I got one gentleman kind of upset because I had rechanged 2 cases that he did. I wouldn't say they, but he did, and he just didn't like that. Why'd you change it? I said, because it's my case. Period. And my report goes in the way it goes in, not to redo it because you think or somebody else thinks it's supposed to be a different way. No way.
All right, so tell me, Chuck, who do you think is responsible for the cattle mutilation? Is it the extraterrestrials? Now, if you've got a photo at the scene of animal mutilations with 2 extraterrestrials and a porthole, to me that would certainly be kind of a way to say, well, this is what the photograph I've got. This is the evidence that was on the scene. 1 and 1 equals 2.
Exactly, and that's the way I put it. If anybody asked me, well, did any predators do it? And I said, no. These sheep were actually mutilated the way that cattle are mutilated, in the exact same way. So nobody can tell me any different that it's not ETs. And I still say that it is.
Are mutilations only done at night?
Most of the time, 99% of the time, yeah.
So there were no reports of UFOs. There were no witnesses to anything strange or out of the ordinary. Mm-mm. How far were these sheep away from the barn or other animals?
Okay, you have those sheep were in the field part. I mean, the ranch part, the section that was 20 feet across, and it goes all the way across from one side of the ranch, all the way over to the other side, and then part of it kind of makes a right turn and goes all the way up to the road. So you have the house here and the barn here, then it kind of like an L there, and then you have the big where all the sheep were. The goats were inside the small part, and the sheep were all always out there in the pasture. That's where they were constantly at. That's where he would feed them, and this and
right. that. So there were no reports of any other strange occurrences. This police department didn't have any air traffic control, no UFO reports, no strange sightings in the media.
No, nothing like that. I checked everything. I made phone calls to like airports.
Sure.
And at the towers. No, we didn't have anything like that, this kind of stuff. Corpus Christi, it was about another 80 miles or so back down that way. And I even contacted NAS, which is the Naval Air Station, and contacted them to see if they had any radar hits or something. They have no idea. They didn't even know there was any mutilations going on.
Wow.
And it just boggled my mind, of what was going on, and yet this is what they wanted to do with it. I said, no. But,
So the sheriff didn't do any forensic testing. Was there a university nearby that the carcasses of at least one of the sheep could have been taken to a veterinarian college or a medical forensic center to undergo a very close and forensic examination of the sheep?
No. I think there were 2 veterinarians in the area, but neither one of them wanted anything to do with it. As far as a college or something, no.
No,
they were trying to say that it was probably people coming over and taking them to eat, go slaughter them and do their thing. And
right.
I said, no, not hardly. And they were saying that they were predators. There was no predators. There was no tracks, no nothing. And people just don't want to hear the reality of a lot of things. And some of the things that they don't want to really hear the reality of is what I'm doing. And the things the places I've been, the experiences I've had, the experiences of other people's had, the sightings I've probably got about 700 sightings already done on my cases. And people get so excited about it. But if you tell other people, they're going to say, oh, yeah, right. I've never seen anything like that. I don't believe in them, and so on and so forth. How can you not say that they're not real? You can't say that, because they are. People see them on a constant basis. And you might say that state of Texas had 52 sightings this month, okay? But in reality, there may have been 2,000 or 3,000 sightings for the whole month, but yet they're not reported. Only just 52 of them were.
Wow. But is it possible that, due to the fact that you have this photo, and I'm sorry, this thing about the photo, but you being told that it can't be released and MUFON is not releasing it, I find this despicable. If it's happening to you, how many other photos does MUFON have that other members have been told that they can't share it and that it's being withheld from MUFON? And especially since MUFON, well, not all of MUFON, but a number of members of MUFON are yelling at the top of their voices that the government is suppressing information, and yet they're doing the suppression of information as well.
Let's put it this way. Most of your, if you notice on Facebook, there will be people that have Facebook accounts, and they will go in there, and if they see a UFO, they'll put it on there. Yeah. They don't care. They may report it, but they'll just go ahead and put it in there anyway. And that's me. I would too. And some of the people some people don't report things, but yet they call me. I've been called from Utah. I've been called from one of them was from Missouri, Arkansas, somewhere, a couple other states, and even here in Texas. They would call me and tell me about their excitement and about their sighting, and what they want to know what it is. I says, have you thought about making a report? No. I just want to know what you think it is when I'm telling you, and some of them will even give me a photo or send me a photo on my email, and I'll check it out and everything. And I'll give them a call or give them an email back and say, yeah, there's something there. And this and that. What they do, they go into MUFON.com and take a look at the map,
right, in
Texas or whatever the case may be, especially in Texas, and they see the names of these people, the section directors, the state director, assistant state director, etc., and they see my name in there with my phone number, and they give me a call. And they just want to get it out and tell somebody what they saw.
You and I have to take a short break, my friend. Please stand by. Exonation. Charles Stansburge is our special guest. And Chuck, how can people contact you if they'd like to share a sighting with you?
Well, they can either get a hold of me on Chuck at MUFONTX.com .org, and also my phone number. You can call me anytime you want. It's 832-350-2051.
Chuck, stand by. We'll be back on the other side of the short commercial break as we will wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.
Charles Stansburge is our special guest of this hour, X-Zone Nation. First of all, Chuck, always great having you on the show.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
So where do we go from here? How can we really get the truth out there?
I put the truth out there every single day. I tell people, I talk to people.
I know you do, Chuck, and I respect you for that. But once again, this entire thing about this photo and MUFON basically suppressing it, what else do they know that they're not sharing?
I have no idea. I just take care of my section, my cases, and, whatever they're doing, I don't know. I just do my stuff and make sure that people know about it. And if they want to see any videos that I've got, I show them. Matter of fact, I make a lot of cases that have videos. What I'll do is I'll put them on a DVD, and I'll make a thing up here, like MUFON cases and made by Chuck Stansburge, blah blah blah, and I'll pass them out. Say, here, take a look. See, these are actual videos of people taking videos of UFOs, and I haven't done one with regular photos yet or not, but I do with videos. Let people see them.
What are your final thoughts for people tonight, Chuck? If they believe that they've come across a cattle mutilation case or an animal mutilation case, or they've seen a UFO, what should they do?
Well, it all depends on what the situation is. If they see a UFO, if it's just in the sky or something like that, if you want to report it, just get on to MUFON.com and go ahead and report it. In detail as much as possible. Everything that is on the report, including your name, address, phone number, and all that stuff, is completely secure. The only thing that the public sees when they go to check a case, all they see is the city, the time and date, and what the person had said about what they saw. That's all that's in there. There's no names, no nothing. Confidentiality is one of the best things we have right now. But if you see something landing, which we had one a couple of years back,
right,
up north, but you can also call our office ASAP if you see it coming down. I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I have a bag over here, or actually a big old case over here with all the stuff in it necessary, just about. If we get a landing, we try to get it there as fast as we can, and hopefully it's either still there. If it's not still there, then we start checking with radiation or stuff like that to see what was going on and secure the area. Same with mutilations, we secure the area and make sure that nothing is going on other than what we're supposed to do.
All right, Chuck, I hate to do this, buddy, but the time is up. You and I have to say so long for tonight. I want to thank you once again for joining us, Chuck. Don't be a stranger. You're welcome here at any time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care, my friend. Exo Nation, I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we go into the vault of the X-Zone Radio Show, and we're going to be playing an interview with Ryan Morrow, a national security analyst with the Clarion Project. I'm Rob McConnell. We'll be back. Don't go away.